All right, you may begin whenever you'd like.
All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the June 16th, 2021 meeting of the CB6 Executive Committee. My name is Kyle Thide, and I'm the chair of CB6. This meeting is being called to order at 6:32 p.m. Tonight, we are joined by District Manager Jesus Perez. To members of the public, you can raise any questions or comments that you have through the Q&A feature of Zoom. If there is time following the committee's discussion, we will field questions from the public. Tonight's minutes will be taken by CB6 Assistant Secretary, Matt Bondi. We will now take attendance by roll call, so please answer present when your name is called.
All right. B. Disman.
Present.
Thank you. Oh, my apologies. I did not go all the way up to the top of the list. I started in the middle. Kyle Thide. Let the record show that Kyle Thide is present. Matt Bondi.
Present.
Claire Brennan.
Present.
Thank you. Rick Eggers.
Present.
Thank you. Adam Hartkey. Adam Hartkey. All right, maybe he'll join us a little later. Molly Hollister.
Here.
Thank you. John Keller.
Present.
Thank you. Kavitha Matthew.
Here.
Thank you. Kevin O'Keefe. I believe Kevin wasn't able to join us tonight. Is the Vice Chair of Parks here?
I don't think Jeannie was able to make it either.
All right. Matt Roberts. Matt Roberts. All right. James Santoro.
Here.
Thank you. Seema Shah.
Here.
Thank you. Sandro Sherrod. Sandro Sherrod. All right, I don't think he's here. Mark Thompson.
Here.
Thank you. Brian Van Nieuwenhoven.
Present.
Thank you. Rich Mintz is not able to join us tonight, I believe. Okay, and did I see Adam Hartkey join the meeting?
Yeah, I think Adam just joined.
Yeah, hey guys, I'm here. I was on the subway, sorry.
All right, thank you. All right, we have quorum.
Thank you. Olivia, do you have a question?
Yeah, my name was not called.
I'm sorry, I thought I had you here present, but Elvie Barroso?
Present.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
Okay. So the agenda for tonight's meeting appears on the screen before you. If there is no objection, we will adopt the agenda as stated. Members of the Executive Committee, if you object to adopting the agenda, please raise your hand through Zoom. Okay. Seeing no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. The minutes from the May 26th meeting were distributed to the Executive Committee members ahead of time by the board office. If there is no objection, we will adopt these minutes. Committee members, if you object to adopting the minutes, please raise your hand through Zoom. Okay, seeing no objections, the minutes from the May 26th meeting are adopted. So in order to conduct an efficient meeting tonight, let's observe a few ground rules. The first, no one may speak until granted the floor. 2, committee members, if you have any questions or comments about committee business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand through Zoom. If you click on the participants icon, the participants panel should appear and you should find the raise hand function there. If you still have technical difficulty, please relay your difficulties through the chat. Speaking of which, the chat function should not be used for committee business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record by raising your hand through Zoom. Chat should only be used to alert us to any technical difficulties you are having or to state in writing information such as an email address or a link that was already stated aloud on the record during the meeting. When a committee member is given the floor to speak, I will identify you and you can unmute yourself so that you can speak. And last but not least, we are required by executive order to create a verbatim transcript of the meeting. So please keep all questions and comments succinct and germane to the discussion. So now I'll deliver my chair's report. Very quick updates. The first is that, as I mentioned at the full board meeting last week, I've established an elections committee, which will be chaired by B. Disman. So thank you very much, Dee, for your service on this. I know you're very committed to many other things, so we thank you for overseeing this process for us. She will be joined by Jeannie D'Onofrio and Sean Sherman as well. So that will make up the elections committee. And as mentioned, all nominations should be submitted to info@cbsix.org by Wednesday, July 7th, so that we can continue with that process. The second thing that I want to mention is, I'm sure many of you have already heard about it. We heard about it yesterday. We had Kavitha, Corinne, and myself attended a MSBI task force update by the Manhattan Borough President's Office. And we heard from them that they are no longer going through with their relocation plan that we have been so closely following for many years. I refer you back to the Wednesday email that actually went out yesterday with this breaking news. So as stated, the details that we have at this point is that they're going to stay in the location that they have, but will still likely sell some of their other properties. One of the ones that was highlighted was the Bernstein Pavilion in about a year or a year and a half. So we will be keeping a close eye on this, and as further details come through, obviously our strategic community planning committee will be focusing on those issues. Earlier this morning, there was a press conference that was held by Councilmember Rivera, along with Borough President Brewer, Senator Hoylman, Assemblymember Gottfried, Assemblymember Epstein, and Representative Maloney, just talking about this decision that was made and the renewed request for partnership and communication with the public going forward. So that does mean that our Proman Place website will be more important than ever. So continue to share that. We will continue to share that as well with the public. So yeah, that's all I have on my end for my report. So we'll now hear from Jesus Perez, CB6 District Manager.
Thank you, Carl. I'll keep my report brief. First of all, again, I apologize for the little Zoom snafu earlier this afternoon that sent out a message saying that exec was canceled. Obviously, it was not. Thank you all for being here. It was just a little technical glitch. Thank you for understanding. For those of you who reached out to ask what was going on, thank you. Obviously, we would never cancel a meeting abruptly like that without giving you some sort of explanation. Also, in about a week or two, the office is going to start reaching out to all the committee chairs to sort out meetings that need to be rescheduled because of the holidays in the fall. I know that that seems like months away, but we do need to start sorting that out soon so that people can start making plans, because there are quite a few meetings that need to be reshuffled because the fall has a lot of holidays. I'm not going to rattle them all off, but just as an example, transportation, for example, falls in September, falls on Labor Day, so it needs to be rescheduled. Parks falls on the 2nd in September, falls on the 2nd night of Rosh Hashanah, so that needs to be rescheduled. Full board falls on the last night of Rosh Hashanah. I'm not Jewish, so forgive me. I understand that that is not sort of one of the quote unquote more important nights. So it might be that we can still hold full board on September 8th. But if there's anybody here who's observant or learned in this kind of stuff and can advise, that would be great. Back when we had Cody, he would advise us here and there, but I don't know For example, the big question I have right now is September 8th full board. Can we still have it, given that it's going to be on the last night of Rosh Hashanah? And apparently it's the first few nights that matter the most. But we can, if someone knows that off the bat now, they can go ahead and say, but if not, we can have this conversation offline. Lastly, I'm glad that Kyle mentioned the Wednesday email. Yes, occasionally it does seem like some board members miss it. So I am going to show it to you very quickly right now. This is what it looks like when it comes into your inbox. It will always say CB6 Wednesday email. Obviously, yesterday's was sent, today's was sent yesterday. The first 2 years of sending this Wednesday email. For the first time, we sent it on a Tuesday simply because the news about Mount Sinai Beth Israel was so important. We wanted to go ahead and not make you wait any longer. So we just sent it out. It's always going to have, at least for unless we get bored with this, it's going to have a marker at the very top that says that it's the Wednesday email. And just a reminder, the Wednesday email, while it looks like the newsletter, it looks similar to the Monday blast that we send out to everyone. The Wednesday email only goes out to board members. Only board members. So while it has a lot of the same information as the newsletters, it will sometimes have like housekeeping things that only really pertains to board members. So we do use MailChimp, the newsletter service that sends out our newsletter and our Monday blasts. We do use MailChimp to send this out. So sometimes, especially if you use Gmail, this will get sent to, this will get filtered into like a spam or a mass mailing folder. Create a filter, make sure that it always gets into your inbox, because we do want you to have the most up-to-date information. And as Kyle mentioned, yesterday's edition of this had all the information that Kavitha learned at the Mount Sinai Beth Israel task force meeting, as well as a link to the article that was mentioned. So you can always find that there. And that concludes my report.
All right, thank you, Jesus. So now we'll go through committee agendas. I know that most of the committees are not meeting in July. So if you have a report, please do definitely report back to us. But if you don't see anything significant go forward, please feel free to waive your report as well. So let's start with strategic community planning.
Thanks, Kyle, and thank you, Jesus, for sharing all that information. I know I was getting emails from several people about the news when it went live, but it was it was a pretty interesting meeting yesterday, and I think all of us were, even though they had always said, MSBI had said it was on the table that they might stay, I didn't know if I quite believed that they would actually take that option. So really interesting, and I think there's still opportunities there. I think they're still going to be, as mentioned, they are, I think, still going to right size. I don't know if I'd say downsize, but right size what they think they need to do for hospital beds and for what the community needs are health-wise. But definitely, I think us staying engaged and others staying engaged has kind of pushed these decisions being made. So I'm really, I think it's really great that this is going on. That said, I am going to make some updates to our probleminplace.org website, hopefully by today, just to put that information on there and, link it back. I guess we're going to have it. Are we going to have it also on our CB6 main website, or just maybe even a link to the Problem in Place? I can coordinate with Jesus and Kyle afterwards.
Yeah, we can get that linked on the
Okay.
homepage. Yeah.
And in the upcoming newsletter, we can make the news the top item.
Yes, great, wonderful. And yeah, we can work on anything we need to do for that. We are still working on this community survey and tweaking it. We had one before, and we're working on revising it. And I think we should still do that because we have partnerships where we've been offered up, the opportunity to partner with Stuyvesant Parks Association with their summer events, being able to kind of deploy the survey there, even like a soft launch of it. We may take advantage of one of those. One member of my committee suggested otherwise. What is the event called? The night out event, and it's in like
National Night Out.
National Night Out event. You know, there could be some opportunity there to have something at our table. But I do think like, even though we're not planning on meeting officially during the summer, we're going to continue to work on strategy for communications for this, for outreach and getting input from the community. So that's all I have. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you, Kavitha. Are there any questions for Kavitha? Okay, not seeing any, so we can move on to transportation. I think you might be on mute. Yep, there you go.
Didn't unmute the first time. Okay. Yeah, as it says there, no meeting, which means I got nothing, which is just fine. The committee worked really hard and they deserve the summer off, and that's what they're going to get unless, I don't know, hell freezes over or the FDR drive falls down. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Gene. And yes, thank you to your committee. I know your agendas have been chock full of everything, so thank you. Any questions for Gene and transportation before we move on? Okay, thank you. Let's move on to environment and parks. Kevin's not here though, so we'll just move on to the next committee after that. Thank you. Health and Human Services, Elvie. Elvie, I think you might be muted. Yes, there you go.
Yeah, so with regards to the staffing bill, we are waiting for Governor Como to sign the bill. Members of the committee would like to invite Godfried's office in the September's committee meeting, and also to make sure we meet with NYU's Director of Nursing to know their stand on this nurse staffing legislation. And a draft of the flyer on the Healthy Living series is already in place, waiting to be finalized. It will be out first week in July, so please help disseminate the first series, which is on September 29 at 6:00 p.m. And the next time we are meeting is in September. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Elvie. And yes, I was actually speaking with Assemblymember Godfried this morning at the press conference, and they were very excited about working with our Health and Human Services Committee. So we'll definitely connect you about, because they were like, we want to do all kinds of things together. So definitely great partnership there. So that'll be really exciting. Thank you. All right, are there any other questions for Elvie and Health and Human Services? Okay, seeing none, we can move on to budget and governmental affairs.
Yep, I got it now. We don't have a meeting over the summer, hopefully. Wanted to remind everybody yet again, budget requests and district needs comments. The more you write, the more we get in your original intention, and you don't risk us misinterpreting what you're doing. So any writing towards the district needs statement would be very helpful. If you could send it into the district office and CC me. If you don't have my email address, the office is the more important one anyway, and you know how to get to them. And I did want to just mention that with the opening up of things in New York City, one of the things that's going to have to be addressed, well, statewide actually, because it's state law, is the open meetings law and what we may have to do to meet the open meetings law at some point. So we're going to try to keep abreast of that. But if anybody sees anything, please let me and the office know, and Kyle, and we'll pay attention to these things. It's a big deal. I mean, it's how the open meetings law is difficult to work with as it is, or as it was under old circumstances. What we've learned in the past year and a half just further complicates it, gives us different options, but also gives us different competing goals to achieve. So if you see anything, pass it along. Hopefully we've seen it, but if not, we'll get all the bases covered. And thank you, and we'll see you in the fall.
So thank you, Rick. And yes, we'll definitely keep you updated, because I'm sure they will email us right away about open meeting law, any updates to it about it right away. So we'll definitely.
If only. We haven't really gotten any kind of guidance from the state or even from the city But
so
the
far.
district managers talk amongst themselves, and we're going to have a little meeting on Zoom on Friday afternoon to talk about what each of us has been able to find out on our own. So I'll let you know if anything useful comes out of that.
Yep.
But unfortunately, no, if we don't get a lot of direct guidance from the state or the city unless we hound them for it.
Yeah, Rick, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up. Jesus, is the district service cabinet paying attention to that? Different service counts, but the district managers group, whatever that one is.
The borough service
Are you guys
The
talking
borough.
about this?
We bring it up. I've brought it up several times. We don't get very far in bringing it up there. I'll just leave it at that for right now.
Okay. Well, one of the things I just wanted to expand a little bit more on is we also have to decide whether we want to be out front and making recommendations before something comes out or react to something that comes out. The committee has both opinions represented, so we'll pass. That should be part of the conversation that we have the next few weeks.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to bring up at the borough board tomorrow as well, just to see if there's any further guidance on it, or if that's something, because I would like to be ahead of it, because I don't like sort of things being imposed on us without us having a say on it, particularly after this year where everything has changed. So I will be bringing up that tomorrow, and I'm sure the other chairs will be interested in doing something. So that's yeah.
Well, just let the Budget and Governmental Affairs Committee know what we can do to help.
Yes, absolutely.
Beta NYC, who partners with the Borough President's Office to help the community boards explore, innovations in civic technology, they are right now surveying the community boards about hybrid meetings. It is unclear what will come of that, but tomorrow I will fill out the survey. As far as policy-wise, obviously, I can't really speak to that because the board is not taking a position. But as far as operational concerns, there certainly are many on both in-person, Zoom, and hybrid that I can certainly speak to, and that's really what they're asking about anyway right now. But these are early, I don't want to say they're early days, but they may not be, so we'll see. Fingers crossed.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Budget and Governmental Affairs? Okay, seeing none. Next up is Public Safety. Matt is unable to make it to the meeting tonight, so we'll move on to the next committee. Thank you. Housing and Homelessness, which is Rich, who's also unable to make it tonight, so we'll move on to the next. Land Use and Waterfront.
Hey guys, so there will be no July meeting, but before we go into the summer, we have to do a June 28th meeting where we will be hearing the last of our, well, not the last, we hear the open streets resolutions and the open streets ULURP when we meet in September, but we hear the Commodore, and then also we'll be discussing our budget requests, which will need to be updated in light of the mayor's proposed capital budget that calls for a lot of a lot of waterfront updates. And so we'll need to retailor our district needs and our budget requests to meet the new reality.
Okay, thank you, Adam.
That's basically all I have. Thanks.
Yes, we're almost done. Almost done with all of these reviews. So yeah, we're making through. So thanks again to you, Adam, and to the rest of the committee, and again to Strategic Community Planning for taking on some of that as well to make it through June. Absolutely. Are there any questions? Yep. Oh no, sorry. I was just going to say, are there any questions?
Yes, actually, I have some for Adam. Okay,
sure.
So I have put up the June 28th land use agenda. So back when we were informed that the open restaurants text amendment would get delayed to certify on the 21st of June, there was some speculation that maybe city planning would not be able to appear at our June 28th meeting. That has very recently been resolved. They said that they could come to our June 28th meeting. I had also told them, because we were floating the idea of perhaps having a late August meeting, an August 23rd special land use meeting. They said that if we wanted to, they could come to that one also. However, we would have to choose one or the other. And so so you would like them to come to the June 28th, because if it certifies on the 21st, it won't technically have started public review until about a day or two after this June 28th meeting. They claim that they can be prepared to present, but you know, it's up to you guys.
Yeah, I personally, I would just prefer to have just an August meeting where we just discuss this on its own. I'd like to avoid another sort of marathon meeting, especially our last meeting into the going into our little break.
Okay, well, if that is what we can do, is we can I can quickly poll the committee and see if we can get some quorum for a late August meeting, and then we will sort this out, and we will not hear it on June 28th if we can manage a quorum. And I guess what can happen is there will be some community boards that will hear this in early July, and we can start reviewing their videos and their presentation, because it's going to be largely the same. I asked if they could potentially come to both, but they can't, given that both DCP and MTA have to jointly present at 59 different community boards. It's just not possible for them to do multiple shots. So, so I will. What I'll do is I'll send an eval out to the land use committee and see if they can make a late August meeting. If there seems to be a lot of pushback on that, then we'll just keep the open restaurants text amendment public hearing for the June 28th. But if it seems like they can make it, we will move the text amendment for open restaurants to the special August 23rd land use meeting.
Okay, that'd be great. And looking at the screen right now, so we'll need to add a new bullet. So the ESCR team, the DDC ESCR team are going to come to the meeting and give an update for the summer. Again, like this is one of the reasons I want to sort of potentially hold off on the open restos, because there is news to update there. There's a whole bunch of sort of moving parts, especially with stuff going on in the construction in our district, and then potentially what's going to happen potentially in the early fall in Project Area 1. There's some pending litigation out right now, which may be resolved. There might be some updates. So I think it'd be really good to hear their information. It could be very quick. It could be moderately not quick.
Okay, so I'll do that. We'll try and get a quorum for a late August land use meeting, and then we'll schedule the open resto text amendment for that August 23rd meeting. That will leave an ESCR update at the top of the meeting for the June 28th. And then it's not a public hearing. We can't call it a public hearing because we're not going to actually vote a resolution on it. We'll call it a presentation on the ULURP application for the Commodore Hyatt project, budget requests for land use, and then the electric vehicle thing, and then chairs report.
That's right.
All right. So that's how we'll proceed. And you're okay with having ESCR at the top of the meeting?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. I think that is all I have questions on for land use. We're almost through this. So.
Wonderful. Thank you for all your help for all of this madness, Jesus. We really do appreciate it.
No problem. No problem. And ideally, but having it in August means that we can watch people's other groups' meetings in August, and the committee can start working on a resolution and have it prepared for late August, and then just tweak it based on what may come out in the public hearing, because in the June full board, the September full board, assuming it doesn't get moved, will come in pretty quick succession after that. So it should be ready, the resolution. We'll have the whole summer,
Absolutely.
but I would recommend starting soon, or else the summer will get away from us.
Sounds great. You're reading my mind. Thank you.
So, thank you. All right, so I'll stop that share and go back to the July.
And thank you again, Jesus, for the scheduling Tetris. You have been doing very well.
No worries, no worries. the Quiet Commodore got away from us. We weren't able to do a reso on that, but 5 out of 6 ain't bad. Is that how the song goes?
I'll allow it.
Yes.
So are there any other questions for Adam and land use? Okay, seeing none, we can move on to youth and education.
Yeah, thanks. I'll be very brief. We were supposed to have a meeting on Tuesday, the 22nd. I looked myself in the mirror the other day and said, who am I kidding that anybody is going to be paying attention from electeds offices or anywhere to a meeting of a community board committee on election day. So we will be canceling our meeting scheduled for next week. And as the committee typically does not meet over the summer, but I will be working closely with my vice chair, Neil, to come up with an agenda for the September and October meetings.
Thank you, John. Are there any questions for John? Okay, seeing none. Thank you so much, John. And we'll now move on to business affairs. Claire?
So we do meet over the summer and July. I think actually we can delete the discussion on empty storefronts in Community District 6 and we'll just see any new licenses that come in for June and probably July. There was a group that I came across recently, the New York Nail Salon Workers Association, which seemed interesting to me. So I'm going to do a little bit more research and maybe reach out to them over the summer. And I think it would just be silly to bring them in on one of the summer months, but maybe for September, we could have them join. And that is about it for me.
Awesome. Thank you, Claire. I'm sure you're going to get a flood of new applications now that the restrictions are up. So good luck to you and the committee.
Thank you. Thank you.
But are there,
I wonder, since there won't be a full board, is it just like however the committee votes moves on for these? Or?
Yeah, so Jesus, again, feel free to jump in, but usually how we've done it is the committee votes on it during the summer months. We let
for the July licensing meeting, we're gonna remove this additional empty storefront item. And I'm sorry, did you say we're gonna remove any non-licensed item for the June or just the July? Just the July. Okay. So June next week, we are going to have the organization Cha-Sha-Ma come to speak with us. But that's next week for the June meeting. That should stay on. Okay. All right. So we won't touch that.
All right. And Rick, I see your hand up.
I think I will not bring it up. Ancient history meant that the executive committee would approve anything from a committee during the summer, but it doesn't really, under the current bylaws, it doesn't really make that much difference. The way it's written, the ruling of the committee can be relied on to exactly the same extent as a ruling of the executive committee. So I think I'll just lower my hand and keep my mouth shut.
Thank you, Rick. Matt, I see your hand up as well.
I just thought you might want to know that there was an article on Cha-Sha-Ma today in The Real Deal. You might want to check it out. I haven't looked at it. I just thought it was interesting. You might be interested to take a look.
Thank you. I will look at that. Great.
All right. So seeing no further questions for Claire, let's move to old or new business. And I actually have some new business to raise that I'd like to share with the committee. So I've just learned that the Alexandria Center wants to make some minor modifications to its facade. This would include some small louvers and removing a side door. So the modifications that they'll be completing will allow them to retrofit some office space into lab space. And to give you all background, this does have to go before the city's Public Design Commission because the Alexandria site is city-owned. And that's by Health and Hospitals, as well as EDC, who helps manage the site. So PDC hasn't asked us for comment on this resolution since the work is very, very minor. But EDC did recommend that the Alexandria Center reach out to us in case we do have any comment ahead of their PDC meeting on June 21st. So given that this is a minor modification, Adam and I were thinking that we could waive comment on this, but I did want to bring it forward to the executive committee. So if there are any objections to waiving comment on this, please raise your hand. Or if anyone has any questions, please let me know as well. We do have some representatives on the call in attendance who could answer some questions we might have. But if I don't see a hand raised or any objections to waiving comment, we can just move on. Okay, so seeing no objections or hands raised for questions, we will waive comment on this particular modifications. So moving on.
I'll reach out to the project team and let them know in writing right after this meeting.
Perfect. Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you.
All right, if any other committee member has any old or new business, please raise your hand. Okay, so seeing no further business, I'm going to adjourn the meeting at 7:09 p.m. Thank you, everybody. It was a great meeting, and I hope everyone enjoys their summer. I'm sure I'll be in touch with all of you, but and hopefully I'll get to see everybody in person on the street. It was so nice to see everyone at the event today and actually see people and talk to them. So I look forward to that. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a great summer, everyone.
Bye.
Have a great summer.
Bye.